Today your assignment is to answer a question about your reading. Wait, no. Today your assignment is to answer a text-dependent extended answer question about your reading. Sure, I can write a paragraph. Sure, I can answer a question. But how do I answer a text-dependent extended writing question? First, let's take a look at what that means. Text-dependent means that your answer requires evidence from the story, like a quote or a paraphrase. At this point in the year, even an example from the story will do as evidence. Extended writing means that your answer requires a paragraph or an essay. For today's assignment, I'm just looking for a paragraph. Let me give you a great strategy to help complete this task and any task like it. It's called the RACE strategy. Some of you may have heard of this before. What is the RACE strategy? It's a strategy that teaches you to do what good writers do naturally and can help you answer short response questions. It helps you maintain a formal style and make sure you're answering all parts of the question with lots of detail. Using the RACE strategy will almost guarantee your answer is complete. Now, RACE stands for the 4 steps in this process. The first step is R, restate the question. You always want to turn the question into a statement to introduce your paragraph. For example, if I asked you, how can students improve their study skills? You might start your paragraph with, students can improve their study skills by. Next, step 2, A, answer all parts of the question. Keep in mind that there may be more than one part to a question, kind of like the question you're answering today in language arts. Make sure that your answer addresses all the parts. Step number 3, cite the text to support your answer. So C stands for cite. Basically, that's a fancy way to say find and include evidence from the text or the story that you have read. If you use a direct quotation, use quotation marks. Make sure you introduce your evidence with phrase like, for example, or according to the text, or the author states that. At this point in the year, examples from the story can serve as evidence. However, this is a step that we spend a lot of time with in 6th grade, and eventually we're going to expect you to do a direct quote. For today, if you know the chapter that the example comes from, go ahead and include it in your paragraph. But in the future, it's going to be required. Okay, the final step, step 4. And I always tell students, this is the step that takes your paragraph from a B to an A. Explain your citation. So I can't read your mind. What you need to do is elaborate on why your text evidence helps you prove your point. In other words, explain how your evidence proves your answer. Use phrases like, this example shows how, or this quotation proves that, some things like that. We'll get better at this as we go, but let me show you an example. Today, I'm going to ask you to answer a question about the Tiger Rising. It's called the friend paragraph assignment. The directions go like this. Write a paragraph to answer the following. Sistine and Rob are the main characters of this book. Based on what you have read, do you think either is an example of a good friend? Choose one or the other, Rob or Sistine, to write about. So this first part in yellow, that's your main question. You're going to write a paragraph about Rob or Sistine telling if he or she is a good or a bad friend. The next part are some follow-up questions that you need to make sure you answer. Explain your answer by telling at least one character trait shown by the character. Then explain why the trait makes her or him a good or a bad friend. Please use evidence to support your answer. Let me give you an example. For my answer, I start with R, restate the question. I think Sistine is an example of a good friend. A, answer any additional questions. Sistine is loyal to Rob, which makes her a good friend. Notice I put loyal in parentheses because this is the part that asks me to identify a trait. So for you, you might say Sistine is mean to Rob, which makes her a bad friend. Or you might say Rob is kind to Sistine, which makes her a good friend. Something to that effect. For my third sentence, it's asking for me to cite evidence. That's part 3. So then I would go back to the story. I would find a place in the story where Sistine shows that she's loyal. Sistine shows her loyalty in chapter 16 when she asks Rob about his mom, something like that. So this is where you plug in your evidence. Now, for those of you who know how to use a direct quote, go for it. Just don't forget the quotation marks. If you don't, then it's okay to just use an example at this time. And then the step 4 is explain. Why does your example answer the question? This example shows that she doesn't let Rob down. Being there no matter what is the mark of a loyal friend. Sistine is a good friend to Rob. So there I've completed the 4 steps, and now all I have to do is put it together into paragraph format. Remember, it's a great tool, it's a great strategy to use RACE for your planning purposes, but when we answer the question, we want to write it just like a paragraph, just like this. So today, your assignment is in the module. You're going to be doing the friend paragraph. I have a suggestion. When you do this, I would start by typing your paragraph as a doc. That way, if halfway through you decide you're going to walk away from it, it'll automatically save. If you open this up in the assignment and then you walk away from it, it won't save. So it's always a good idea to start typing in a Google Doc and then copy and paste it into your answer within Canvas. Okay? And then lastly, I put some resources about the RACE writing strategy here in the module as well for you to look at as you write your paragraph. And of course, if you struggle with this, come see me in office hours on Friday. I'd be happy to help.